Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. Our vision is to inspire you to implement simple steps that's going to lead you to a healthier and happier life for you and, of course, your family. Hi, everyone. My name is Andy Nam, and joining me is my life partner, my business partner, and, of course, my best friend, Min Wong. We're streaming live tonight from Houston, Texas. Now, when you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with the phrases like perhaps chronic disease? We all do it. It's been pre-programmed right into our brains. But what if we flip it over on its head, right? We believe that we can all live a healthy life, a chronically healthy and happy life in our bodies, in our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, so much more. And this is not just another nutrition and fitness show. So let's just jump right on in. Hi, Minna. How are you?
You know how I'm doing. Being with you all day. So welcome to the show. We're excited to share this with you. We call the show Chronically Healthy Life. So let's talk about life by itself, right? So what does life means to us? So for us, we actually came up with this thing that life stands for. So it's four words. L stands for longevity. I stands for independence. F stands for family, and E for environment. So longevity. So tell us, longevity. What does it mean to you?
Well, longevity is for most people it's like living a very long time, right? But for us, that's just not enough, right? Because what else do you need when you live a long time? What usually happens if you live a long time?
Well, I know that a lot of people say when you're old, you're going to be on a walker or wheelchair. You have to push it around. You don't get to enjoy life. That's not what we talk about when you say longevity, right? We want the energy. We want to be vibrant. We want to travel. We want to see the world, right?
I totally agree. It's like, I belong to this business networking group called BNI. And, I tell people, hey, I'm looking to live up to 130 years old. Right. And a lot of them just sort of look at me, well, here we are. We're going to be pushing each other in our wheelchairs and see who's going to be more miserable type of deal. And I said, well, I know I'm not going to be in a wheelchair. I don't know about you. So, the longevity part for us is keeping our health where we are now. And of course, you need to be as healthy as you are right now and extending that forward to, 90, 100, 110 for us, 130, 150. I think it's all possible.
You know, there's research is saying you should be able to live until 170-ish if you do everything right. So that's what we're here to help you do. Maybe not 170, but hey, and just enjoy a long life as long as you can.
So we're going to try to teach you everything right, right? So what does I stand for, Mina?
So I stands for independence. Part of it is to tie back in longevity is your mobility. You don't need someone to push you around, right? You can walk by yourself, you can travel by yourself. And of course, independence also refers to financial independence. We want to talk about that because we know that you don't need a lot of money to have a good life. Money doesn't make you happy. We know all that. However, if you don't have enough money, if you don't have financial independence, you're hustling. You're still not there to really enjoy the life. You're not here to give everything you have to give to your life. So we think financial independence is also a necessity for your life, right?
And just piggybacking on that independence, it's like your health is so important because a lot of times if your health is failing as you get older, all these hospital bills start piling up. And guess what? If you don't have financial independence, that can really put you in a bankruptcy or worse, lose your house, lose everything. And not only are you sleeping on the street, you can be, very sick while you're at it, right? Which doesn't make any sense at all. That's what our show is all about. So you're not going to end up on the street.
So also for part of independence is your ability to actually think for yourself, to make the choices that is really your choice, not your parents' choice, not your teacher's choice, not your spouse's choice, right?
I think that is so true because, we are so ingrained growing up, listen to your parents, listen to your teacher. And after a while, a lot of these thoughts that's going on in your head, you think they're actually yours. But in fact, there's someone else telling you what to do for the rest of your life. And that may not always be right for you. It may be right during that time we're in school, but we're always constantly growing. We're also always constantly evolving, and it's so much. It's so important to make your own choices, right?
Yeah, I know my dad is an architect, so my second sister architect and she went to school, got two degrees in architecture, and you know what? She's not an architect anymore. So, think for yourself. Think about what your choice is for your life. So the other thing, after independence, the LIF, family. We have a whole section on family, so we don't need to expand on that right now. But you meet our other co-host, Christy, in just a few minutes, and she will talk to you about the family wellness part of it.
Of course, of course. And I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of aha moments, especially if you have kids. And then, of course, when it comes down to E, what does E stand for? E stands for environment. And why is environment so important for us, to have a healthy life?
So I'll give you an example. Today, the air quality outside, I think it's like 174.
Mm.
So unhealthy for certain groups. And I do feel it here. I'm like, just not right. So that is part of how your air can affect you. And of course, water. There's a lot of fluoride in the water. There's dirty water that can actually make you sick. So clean water is part of your environment. Is also very important for your health and for your well-being. Of course, environment also includes your community, your neighbors, the people around you, and how you can come together, become a group that feeds into each other. I think that's very important too.
Correct. I totally agree. And that was the purpose of one of the purpose for the show is for us to expand the local community, to expand the local Houston community, so we can reach out for to help each other grow the community. And hopefully more of you guys will start watching us to get more tidbits throughout each week.
So let's talk about our first episode. What are we going to talk about?
Well, I thought that, since this is going to be our first episode, it makes sense to be talking about foundations, and what's foundations really all about? When you look at foundations, you think about foundations, you look at a building, maybe this tall skyscraper, right? And when you're constructing it, what do you always notice? They dig this really, really deep hole. They stick these metal rods down, and then they put all the cement, right? And all the cement that goes down so deep with the cement and this, steel girders or whatever they're called. I'm not a construction guy, but that's what provides the building, to be, from falling over, from earthquakes, from hurricanes or even tornadoes, right? And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the basic foundation today, and we're going to expand about that, expand upon that over the weeks.
And talking about tornadoes, we just had one the other day, not too long ago,
Oh,
and that was exciting, but not in a good way, I guess. So that day, we were actually flying back from Mexico. So our plane, it took off, but when we get to Houston, they weren't able to land because they said there's a storm, and we don't know better because we are 35,000 feet above ground, and all we see is sunshine and white clouds. But we're circling Houston for a long, long time, for about an hour and a half. And eventually the storm moved away and we landed. And so when we landed, we found out that there was a tornado that actually hit Houston. And let me show you some of the pictures here. Let's see, right? So, tornado, I never thought it would happen to like in my surroundings, but it did. And some of the damages is actually really, really bad. And there are a lot of people that were hurt, a lot of people that had lost power. Even the Pasadena, the animal shelter.
mm-hmm.
They are one of the so they have a lot of animals in there, and they also have a gas leak. They lost power, so they actually have to move all the animals. And so, you know, we figured that we need to try to do a shout out to animal shelters, in the area, and see what we can do to help them.
Yeah, because like for all the animal lovers out there, if you're looking for a dog, looking for a cat, I know that, or even looking to give donations, I know that, that Pasadena Animal Shelter is looking for help and looking for a place for them to shelter those animals.
Yeah. So let's look at a clip, and then we will come right back.
Hello, we are Matsumiya's Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Matsumiya's Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Matsumiya's Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Matsumiya's Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.
Let's welcome our co-host, Christy Boyd Johnson. Hi, Christy. How are you?
Hi, Andy. Hi, Minna. This is so exciting that we're doing this show for people.
It's so awesome. Well, just to give let everyone know a little bit more about Christy. She is the co-founder and CEO of the Barefoot Learning Club. She's a veteran teacher. She's an author. She loves helping children succeed and grow into the wonderful human beings they are. And she is just so full of information and so warm of heart. And she helps us with so many things. Once again, we are so welcome that we're so happy that you're our co-host for our show.
Me too. This is very exciting. And I, of course, always love hanging out with you guys no matter what. That's always a good time.
So this week, we're gonna start off with, at least I'm gonna kick it off. We're gonna talk about foundations, foundations of health. I'll start off. And when it comes down to foundations of health, I like to think about cellular health, right? I talked about tall skyscrapers a little earlier, right? How they can fall down if you don't have the proper foundation. Well, it's very similar for us as human beings, right? Our foundations is our cells, these little cells that makes up our organs, they makes up our digestive system, it makes up all our body systems, they make up all body parts. Everything is basically composed of cells, right? And when we're nourishing our bodies, we think we're eating our foods, and we're and we're doing exercise and everything. And you think that, oh wow, I am doing everything I can to feed my body. But you need to ask this question: are you nourishing your cells, or are you actually destroying your cells? Or even worse, some of the conditions that you may be exposing yourself to may actually be mutating your cells, which can lead to chronic conditions, chronic diseases down the road, such as cancer or other conditions. And you have to be really aware when it comes down to your foundational health. The cell is the first line. You need to basically nourish your cells by eating foods that are as whole as possible, and preferably something that doesn't come out of a bag, come out of a box, or a can, right? Like, when's the last time you checked that you saw potato chips growing from trees?
Ooh, that'd be funny.
That'd make a great kids book, The Potato Chip Tree.
We should talk about that.
Yeah.
Right. So when you talk about foundations, we also want to think about protecting your mind, right? So why is it important to protect your mind? See, we live in this time and age where news flies into your brains. It just comes bombarding you at all angles, right? So imagine this. Imagine you have like a glass of water. When you fill it clean water, you're good. But when you feel it dirty, the glass becomes dirty and there's no way to make it clean unless you dump it all out. So what I'm trying to say is the mainstream media is kind of like feeding you with dirt. They're looking for that piece of news that is the most attention grabbing, the worst piece of news they can find out of millions and billions of people. So when you hear that news, it changes your mindset. It automatically puts you into a state of fear, in a state of nervousness. And really, that's not what you want to do when you're here to actively design a life that you want. So, one of the tips is, maybe we'll give you love later, but protect your mind, and rather than picking, looking at news, watching the news 10 times a day. I know some people do that. They get up, they watch the news, and then they go, go in the car, they listen to the news, and they go talk about the news on the water coolers, come home, listen to more news, the same piece of news they hear 5 times, and just, it pushes you in a different mindset. Do you agree, Christy?
Oh my gosh. Do I ever agree? One of the best things I ever did was stop watching television. I mean, my mom has her show. My mom is with me and she has her shows, but not the news ever. And she has to mute the commercials. So, because what you said really made me, when we do that, our emotions get involved, and we get anxiety, and we get upset, and we're worrying about things that we don't have any control over, and that are most of the time just manufactured anyway. They're not real. If we focus on what's real right now are our friends and family around us, if we can make life good there. I know I was a teacher for a million years. I used to put in my class. I'm over a million years old. Don't I look good for? What I used to do in my classroom is I had a big giant fluffy pillow that I stick in the corner, and it was not time out. It was I need a break corner. And the kids, I would let them self-determine if they needed a minute. And one day I had a little boy, he stomped in. He was just, and he threw his backpack, and he was just steaming. And I thought, uh-oh. Smart kid, and that means that can be trouble. Smart kids can create a lot of trouble because they're smart. So I just kind of eased over there and had a quiet talk with him, not embarrassing him. And it turned out, I said, do you want to go sit in the I need a break? Do you need a minute? And he said, yeah. And they knew they had to set the egg timer for 3 minutes. And I didn't let them stay over there all day. Otherwise that would be pandemonium. But anyway, he finally came back to me and whispered in my ear, I didn't get to eat breakfast. My mom said that I couldn't have my breakfast till I did my chore. And I ran out of time and I didn't get my breakfast. I'm like, oh my God, take heart, rip it out. So I was prepared. I was a prepared teacher. I always had nice, healthy snacks in my drawer and everything. So I found something. And then he calmed right down. And the rest of the day, instead of starting out bad, emotionally upset, and letting that filter into everything, we turned it around, and he ended up having a really good day, and he left happy and gave me a big hug at the end of the day. And that, just like, how many times does someone smile at you, bring you up? Or, or you see someone at the grocery, I personally do this. I see someone at the grocery store who's cranky, and I smile at him and I'll say, hey, how are you? Can I help you with something? Even though I don't work there. It's like my mission. Because you can just feel the gratitude come out, and that emotional energy can shift a whole day. And when you combine that with eating a healthy diet and having hugs from your kids and things like that, it becomes a pretty good, and not watching the news, it becomes a pretty good.
I totally agree with you with the emotions. It's like you could be having this amazing day, and you get that one dreaded phone call, like the one that it rang in the middle of the show. I'm not going to say who called me. I had everything silent, but apparently I have a few people that still ring through if they're on my call list. And it's like, oh my God, he grins up, and everything just changes, right? In a sense, it's just in that one instance, you get heightened senses, and your emotions, it changes, and everything changes so quickly at that one point. It's so amazing where you could be at this high of being so ecstatic, and then just the next thing, it could be news, right? It could be a tornado warning. It's like, it was funny when we're on the plane everyone's saying, wow, like the airline's lying to us. There's no tornado because we're flying above the clouds. It's all sunny. Everyone's looking out the window. It's sunny. I'm like, where's this tornado? Just land the plane already. Right? But, you get everyone else that, and, they had a little bit of anxiety. He's like, if we land, are we going to be able to land, And then he talked about, we may have to divert to Dallas, right? Which is like 4 hours away. And then we all got some anxiety there. So, emotions is so important. I really, believe in that. And the news you're hearing, and, one of the things you ever notice is like when you hear about news is you hear one thing and each person that tells it, it gets worse and worse, right?
Yeah. And you know what? It can just make you feel like, diving into that gigantic family-sized bag of potato chips and eating the whole thing. And then you really feel like crap. Because
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, Christy, when you talk about the boy giving you a hug, I mean, like, that is like the best thing in the world. I mean, I know when my cat come and hug me, I feel like I'm the most important person in the world. That's just makes you feel good for the rest of the day.
Yes. And particularly, that was 3rd grade. And so the boys have started to get, too cool for things like that. And the little girls will still come up and, I love you, teacher, and hug you and stuff. But the boys were like, nah. So that was kind of even more special because he wasn't too cool to give his old teacher a hug.
So what would you like to add upon that, Minna?
Well, I think we just, stick with the whole foundation thing, right? We talk about how to protect your mind, how to protect your body, how to protect the kids. The safety is one of the biggest concerns nowadays. What do you think, Christy?
Oh my goodness. That is a huge, huge thing. I mean, I think there are so many parents out there just living in fear of sending their kids to school because there's so many things happening. And I understand, I've lived through many of those things. So yes, foundational, sometimes it's that I'm a big believer in teaching foundational skills in education. And if those solid skills transfer to everything, because when you have those solid skills in reading, writing, and math, kids can do anything. And if you take away that stress of like, is Big Johnny going to shove my head in the toilet today? And you remove all that, then life becomes kind of joyful and relationships improve. Yes.
I agree. It's a different world that we live in today with kids. I remember like when I was growing up, we just walked to school. There's no parents driving us to school, right? And
you can play outside.
And we played outside to dark, like literally. I mean, like dark, like 10 o'clock in the middle of the street, kicking the soccer ball.
Yeah.
And we all made it home, right? So, but nowadays it is a very different world. And, I think safety for children is a large issue. And, it's so important to be part of, being that healthy life, that family life is, of course, your children are part of your life, right? So that healthy family dynamic is so important.
Yes. And healthy food for kids is extremely important. I always knew which kids had junk food snacks and which kids were being given healthier choices, apple slices or things like that they like, but that they'd come back to the class after recess and just be like, let's go. And the other ones had their heads down and were crashing.
Correct.
Yeah.
We can tell.
It all ties together.
That's amazing.
I'm sure we're going to talk about a little bit more about that more in our next session, in the family portion of our show. Everyone, please stay tuned for our next portion of the show. We're going to talk about family. And, like I said, that is the F for our life and chronically healthy life.
That's our F-bomb, right?
That is our F-bomb.
See you then.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. And we're going to dive right into family wellness. And of course, today, Chrissy's going to kick us off. We're going to, tell us what you're going to tell us about, once it comes down to foundation of family and especially for kids.
Well, that is such a huge topic. I mean, we all love our children and grandchildren and nieces and nephews and students for all the teachers out there. And we want them to have the foundation to grow up to be not just, productive members of society. I think to be happy
Mhm.
and enjoy their lives. And, I started thinking during the break, one of the things that I've done and I've seen schools do and I'm implementing in homeschool programs is growing a garden.
Mm.
And there's, besides the obvious, we're growing a garden, learning how what grows in the soil, and that you wherever you are in the world, and how to take care of the plants and grow them, and when they're ripe and then eat them and all that stuff. There's biology in there. There's chemistry. There's the relationship building. If
Mhm.
you're doing it with your family or if you're doing it with your friends, if you have like a community garden, and there's just so many aspects to just something as simple as growing a garden.
I totally agree. And, when we moved from California to Texas, our dream is to grow our own garden, like our own farm to table aspect or backyard to table. And, we got some early success, right? In general, we probably got about 70% of feeding right from your garden. But like you said, there's so much to learn because it's different climates, you got different soils, certain things grow better in different soils, certain things grow better during different points of the year. So for sure, there's so much to learn, but more so, it's like that's a great trade to learn now, right? Because like when I ask people, what do you know about gardening? And they look at me funny. Well, I just go to the supermarket and buy what I need, right? And I said, well, that's not really quite as fresh. He said, well, that's coming straight from the farm, right? And I was like, no, it's not really coming from the farm. It came from a farm and it probably traveled for days to weeks to possibly sometime months before it actually gets to your table. So it's not really farm to garden. So I think that concept of teaching kids how to start growing little gardens, I think that's a great skill set.
Definitely. What grows together compatibly, the Native Americans, you can do a whole bunch of, you can incorporate so much learning in a super fun way. Like
Mhm,
I think they grew squash with the corn or something. I think that was it. And because they went together and they helped each other grow.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so things like that, like what could we put together? And then how do we eat it? That's
True.
how do we
Yeah.
eat it? And I think sometimes people always think a garden means you're just going to be eating salad forever,
Correct.
but there's so much more. You could grow fruit trees or watermelon, or my grandmothers had strawberry patches in their backyards. My brother and I used to go out and pick strawberries out of the garden, and we'd bring them to my
That's
grandmother and she'd
amazing.
pour cream on them, and real cream, like not processed, heavy, pasteurized, real cream. And that was our treat.
And it's funny that you talk about growing the own garden for children to learn about that because, have you gone to a school lately and see what they serve in those, those little dispenser machines? Because they definitely didn't have those when we're growing up, right?
Mhm.
Uh, to be honest, I don't even think our elementary school had a cafeteria, but the foods that they serve, the children at the schools now, it's just crazy, right? Like there's just no health benefits at all. And why don't you share some of these side effects that some of these foods can cause for children?
Oh, you know, it's one of my pet peeves in the world is calling kids ADD or ADHD,
Mhm.
because it is directly related to what they're eating. I've seen kids be fine. Then they eat that pre-packaged Twinkie or honey bun or whatever, and they are bouncing off the walls, and they're not learning. They can't focus. They're emotionally like raw, kind of flipping out. I had one kid pull a bookcase over, and there were kids near there. I came across that room so fast. You would have thought I was an Olympic hurdler, because to stop the bookcase from coming down on the heads of the kids. What you see on TV in the movies with teachers, that's not real. It's not real. In the movies, no. But it's all connected. And then the flip side is when you start give the kids a sandwich. Like even a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is better than one of those high sugar, high processed packaged junk food snacks. Or apple slices are always good. Kids usually like carrots, and you can give them peanut butter to dip it in, and it's pretty easy to put that in a lunchbox, and it makes the biggest difference in school. And also
Sorry for cutting you off there, because I just had, when you talk about the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I just had that envision of what I had right through elementary school, probably from grade 7, because up to grade 7, I went home for lunch because I was right across the street. But from grade 7 and up, it wasn't cool going home for lunch anymore, right? It was cool staying at school with your friends. And I think I ate a ham and cheese sandwich every single day from grade 7 all the way up to I would say grade 10, grade 11, until I got my own driver's license to drive out to McDonald's.
Every teenager in the world heads for McDonald's at lunchtime. It's amazing because it's so tied together. Everything is so tied. The kids that I told kids they were not ever allowed to have any drink in the room at all except water. On the first day of class, I said, you guys can bring a bottle of water and do not bring anything sugar. No soda, no fruit juice, nothing. And they, Miss J, you're so mean. And I finally started telling them, because you guys are going to spill, and they are, they're kids. And then I have bugs. And then it was, okay, we don't want bugs in our room. Which it was actually true, but that wasn't the real reason the real reason I didn't want them drinking sugar all day is because I wouldn't be able to do anything with them. It was hard enough having 30 kids in the room.
That is so true. That's so true. And what tips would you have for all the families out there? Because to be honest, it probably is easier to shop when you're going shopping for the kids, to pick up those little cracker and cheese spreads, or the packs of Lay's chips from Costco, because they sell you a gazillion bags for like $5 or whatever maybe, right? It's just so much easier because for time wise, a lot of families, the parents, they don't have the time to make fresh sandwiches in the morning, even as simple as PB&J, right?
Yes. So my strategy was to pre-make lunches the night before and just put them in the fridge. And my best tip is start slow and gradual, and it's so hard to make a huge shift all at once. So if your kids are expecting that bag of Lay's potato chips in their lunch, give them that, but then also give them the apple slices and the carrots or whatever it may be, and let kind of gradually ease into that. If you're using a high sugar peanut butter, move to a peanut butter that only is peanuts and oil and salt, preferably sea salt, and doesn't have all the extra. If it's got a big long list of chemicals, don't buy that peanut butter. Buy a better quality peanut butter where ironically the ingredients are readable. peanuts, oil, salt.
That's so true. That's so true. And when you talk about peanut butter, don't buy those fancy colored ones because those artificial colors. That's gonna get you right. It's like
Yeah.
they probably like it's cute. You got all the purple and red scrolled in the peanut butter, but all the artificial colors is just gonna get your kids all wired up, right?
Oh my gosh. Have you ever heard of Takis? Takis are these bright orangey red like Cheeto things. I've never tasted them, but the kids love them. They get all red around their mouth and their tongue gets all red and they think it's so funny until they get sick. And you know what happens? They throw up on me. I've had it happen. And it is disgusting. Well, being thrown up on is not fun anyway, but it's worse when it's just this gross, bright red. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This is so unnecessary. and then they're laying on the floor because they don't feel good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, switch over to try like, if they want something crunchy and salty, try to find something that's an alternative that's a little better. That's the easiest way to do it, is to make small shifts towards something a little better instead of trying to do everything at once. It's the same with learning. We do, I can't teach a kid to read Cat in the Hat. I have to teach them the phonics that go into that first. And then once they put that together, reading Cat in the Hat is easy. So it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Correct.
Go ahead.
So your advice is just go, wean them off slowly in. So it's like, rather than changing their Captain Crunch cereal to an apple, that would probably be very difficult for most families, right? Is maybe try to go to a healthier cereal in between and just slowly do a transition over, right?
Yes, you can also, or add fruit. Slice a banana or some blueberries or some strawberries if they're in season, and throw them in the cereal, and then they're getting that nutrition along with the Captain Crunch. And then it's more fun to switch over to start making transitions.
And it's funny because you're talking about like the fresh fruit or fresh vegetables. Can you give like one tip to all the families out there? What is one way that you find that can help their children eat a healthy fruit or vegetable?
Oh my gosh, you know what? I actually did this. I've done this in my family and at school. I brought in an ice cream maker.
Oh.
We made, it was actually struck. I live in San Diego and we had lots and lots of berries at the end of the school year. It was right about the time they were coming in. And we made ice cream and the kids got to throw in the fruit and we had a big party, but it was real food. It was homemade, and I purchased the milk. Of course, I purchased the milk because that's what teachers do. But I got I didn't get a highly processed one. I got organic, and then so anyway, they were just like, "This is so much better than the stuff you buy in the carton at the store." And yeah. So just if you make it fun and you make it a joyful experience, I told some of the parents, hey, do this at your kids' birthday parties. Let the kids make their own ice cream and then you have the cake. Yeah, okay. So having cake on your birthday is not the end of the world. Have cake on your birthday, but do something fun and make your own ice cream or something like that. And then that way you're kind of just always easing in and bringing in this in things so they're getting some nutrition out of it.
That is so true. It's just like you said in the very beginning, back to the basics. Make it fun for them. If they enjoy what they're doing, they won't realize that they're doing something that's actually good for them, right? Because like they're so used to doing things that's fun, and most fun things, well, may not be so healthy. And family, like I said, it is such a core part for us. It is the F, of course, right, of being living a chronically healthy life. And I think it's this is a great way, some great little tips here. And, we're going to share so much more as we go more and more episodes down the road. But we just want to give a little taste of, what we can do for helping all those families out there that may be having, you know, some problems here and there raising their kids, right? Having that healthy, fun dynamic, because like you said, it comes down to emotions, right? You want to have, a family that is happy and sharing, as opposed to one that's yelling at you and angry all the time, right?
Exactly.
Well, coming up next, we're going to showcase a local business. Like every week, we're going to showcase a local business to build our community. And this business, oh my gosh, this is going to help you do one of the things most that everyone hates to do, right? So stay right here, coming right back, find out what this local business does.
Hi, everyone. This is Christy Boyd Johnson, the co-founder and CEO of the Barefoot Learning Club. We know that school can be a little scary these days. Between all the pretty horrifying stuff that's going on with bullying and shootings and whatever else is going on, our kids are having to endure this. And it results in a very rough situation. So we know a lot of parents want to homeschool, and that's why we're here. We're here to give you full support in homeschooling your children, making sure they get the foundational skills of reading, writing, and math in place so that they can literally do whatever they want. They can learn anything and do it with less stress, less time, and a lot more fun. And the best part is the results. You'll be amazed at the results that we get. So we would like to invite you to have it. If you want to talk to me personally, if you go to our website, barefootlearningclub.com, there's a Talk to Christy button. Just click it and it goes right to my calendar. Schedule a talk with me. It's a half an hour conversation and I can answer your questions, and you can talk to me in person and I can talk to you in person, and we can see if this is a good fit for you. I'm hoping it is. It's a new and different paradigm from anything you've seen before, but I think it's much better. All right, ciao for now.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. So each week we like to highlight a local business that we know and trust to, of course, help build out our community, our environment. And, since we're kicking off the show, we're talking about foundations. I'd like to talk about, a very important foundation for family health. And that is, of course, our homes, right? We spend so much time inside our homes. And, a lot of people don't realize inside the home is actually dirtier than the air that's outside. And it's so important to have a clean and a hygienic home as possible, especially for Min and I. We got 4 cats, and, our little cat, his name's Wolfie, and he's this fluffy little fur ball that just has his fur just everywhere, and it's just impossible to clean. And of course, we don't like cleaning the house anyway, but I know how important it is to have a clean house, to have, a clean health, bill of health. So, we would like to introduce a company called Ready, Set, Sparkle. And, and she cleans our house, of course. Hi, Jenny. Welcome to our show.
Hi, Andy. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Minna, for having me here.
So Jenny, why don't you tell us a little bit more about, house cleaning? Because a lot of people think it's not a glamorous job, but to be honest, like I think everyone needs a good house cleaner, because no one can ever clean a house as clean as a house cleaner. I know I've tried. It's like those days when you're busy and I just can't stand it anymore. I'm trying to mop the floor and I'm thinking, how come I don't got that squeaky feet feeling? How your feet walks and it squeaks.
Right.
I just can't do it. We're using the same stuff, and it just doesn't make sense to me. So why don't you share with us a little bit more about what Ready Set Sparkle can do to help people, and the importance of having a clean home.
Okay, so I own Ready Set Sparkle. My name is Jenny. Nice to meet you all. So just having a nice, clean home is just very important. Everyone works a 9 to 5 job. You don't want to come home and have to clean the floors or sweep the floors, especially if you have pets, just like you mentioned, Wolfie. Yes, Wolfie does have a lot of hair. We find it everywhere. So it's just very important to, have your house clean professionally if you don't do it yourself weekly. Um, most people like to have their homes cleaned professionally every 2 weeks. I think that's a wonderful idea because especially if you don't, bathrooms is, I think, the most important. Your floors, if you're not sweeping, mopping your floors, at least mopping or steaming at least once a week, it just starts building up a lot of dirt into especially the grout. Um, you just want to be able to you take to bed whatever you walk on, if that makes sense. So if you're not sweeping your floors or mopping your floors weekly, you're taking it to your bed. So to me, it's just important to have a very just nice, clean home.
That is so true. And and for cleaning the homes, for some of the people out there that clean their own homes, they find that the most nasty smelling chemicals gives them that's nice smell, and they think that is a clean home. What are your thoughts on that, Jen?
Okay, so good point. You are my one home that I have that I don't use chemicals, and it's honestly nice to be able to clean a home without having to smell all that extra the bad stuff. Because in some houses, sometimes chemicals are needed, especially if they haven't had a clean in such a long time. Me personally, I hate to use my one most item that I hate to use is bleach. It hurts my eyes. It burns my eyes. But if it's necessary, I will use it. My go-to is vinegar. Yes, vinegar is not the best, but it's possibly better than most everything else because you're able to actually wash your clothes with it. So it kind of is better than most things. If I had more clients interested in non-chemical cleaning, that would be awesome. It actually makes it so much more better for everyone. For yourself, for your pets, if you have a baby crawling, we step on it. We touch it with our hands daily. So it's better to have a chemical-free cleaning. Yes, I totally agree with that. Maybe one day we'll have another client want their home cleaned without chemicals. But yes, people do prefer the smell.
Exactly. You heard it straight from Jenny. If you want a clean house, she's there for you. And if you're looking to clean your house with non-toxic chemicals, come on, we all need to step up. It's better for the environment, it's better for the health, it's better for you, and of course it's better for Jenny, right? So Jenny, why don't you tell us what's the best way to reach out to you,
You
for
can reach
people
me
that
on
want to get their house cleaned?
Yeah, you can reach me on my Facebook page. That's probably the best way to reach me. I don't know if you guys can see my number on the screen. But if you have any questions, you want to book your next cleaning with me, just mention the show. That's where you saw us, and that would be you get your first $5 off your first cleaning.
That's awesome. That's what I was going to ask. Like the promo. Everyone wants to hear the promo. Well, don't go away yet. When we come back, we're going to show you one simple step to help you build your chronically healthy life. We'll see you back soon.
All right.
Hello. We are Mutts and Meows Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mutts and Meows Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mutts and Meows Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mutts and Meows Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. Just in case you don't know, that voice on that video, it was actually Jenny's daughter. Jenny doesn't just clean houses, she's also contributing to a community. She does a lot of rescue. So we love her and we want to help her whichever way we can. But anyways, today's our first show and I think we did a pretty good job, right?
I think so. It's there's so much in our minds, in our vision to help people, and just getting it all out. So that's what we thought. Foundations, but even for foundations, there's so much in the foundation. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that a little bit more over the weeks. You know, to end the show, we always love to give a very simple, great tip that can implement into your life immediately. What tip would that be for the first show of the week?
Well, we talked about protecting the mind, and
Mhm.
so this great tip is going to save you a hell of a lot of time, and that is to stop watching the news. You know what? You can't do that. You know what? Try for 3 days. You're gonna love it. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel happier. You feel calmer, and I can guarantee you, you're gonna be amazing. You feel much better. Just drown out all the noise. Stay off the news. You will be happier. Christy, who do we have next week?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Next, Eileen Gottlieb, the heart healer, is our guest next week. She's a good friend of mine, and she is just a beautiful human being. She actually started out in nursing for over 50 years, and then also has been doing vibrational healing for the last 29 years, which is the next level up, is the spiritual element of our foundation. So she helps an international clientele of heart-centered individuals and entrepreneurs like us who struggle with trauma or fear or self-sabotaging blocks, all those kinds of things that kind of get in our way and we kind of go, what is going on here? And helps getting past that and finding your life purpose and really getting into the joy. So her passion is teaching the conscious heart connection of Ho'oponopono, which I just learned that word and how to spell it. And it's the ancient Hawaiian problem-solving process. It's extremely simple, very gentle and beautiful. And I can't wait for everybody to meet her.
We're looking forward for her to be a guest on our next week's show. And we love to thank everyone for spending their time to support us for our first show. Of course, we'd love to hear any input and future topics that you want to hear about. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye.